My parents stole my life savings to buy my golden child brother a yacht, so I exposed his affair at his wedding and foreclosed on my parents' house. AITA? I, 24 meters, grew up as a ghost in my own home. My twin brother, Leo, was the golden child, and I was just his spare part. If Leo wanted a new dirt bike, my college savings were dipped into. If Leo crashed that dirt bike into a parked car, I was forced to take the blame because a criminal record would ruin Leo's bright future. My parents literally forgot my 16th birthday. When I walked downstairs, they were throwing a massive surprise party for Leo because he passed his driving test on the third try. I spent my birthday cleaning up their catering trash, but the absolute breaking point happened when we turned 18. Our grandfather had left us a massive inheritance. It was strictly intended for our education and future homes, held in a joint account that my parents had administrative access to. I had sacrificed my entire teenage social life to get into an Ivy League university. The day I got my acceptance letter, I went to the bank to transfer my half of the inheritance to pay the tuition. The account balance was exactly $0. My parents had cleared out every single penny of my half. When I confronted them, screaming and crying, my mother didn't even look up from her iPad. She just sighed and said, "Leo decided he wants to be an influencer and needs a luxury yacht in Miami to network. You're the smart one, OP. You can just get a full-time job and student loans. Leo needs the lifestyle to succeed." My dad actually chimed in and told me I was being selfish for trying to gatekeep family wealth from my brother. I was utterly broken. I had to work 3 jobs, sleep in my car for a semester because I couldn't afford a dorm, and live on expired canned soup just to scrape through a state college. Meanwhile, Leo crashed the yacht within 6 months, dropped the influencer dream, and moved back into my parents' newly renovated guest house, completely subsidized by them. I cut them off completely. No calls, no holidays, nothing. I spent the next 5 years grinding in software engineering, eventually launching a tech startup that took off. I made millions, but I kept my wealth entirely quiet. To my family, I was still the broke, struggling disappointment. Then, 3 months ago, I received a wedding invitation in a gold-embossed box. Leo was marrying Clara, the daughter of a literal billionaire tech mogul. My mother called me for the first time in 5 years, sobbing hysterically into the phone. She wasn't apologizing. She was begging. "OP, you have to come to the wedding," she pleaded. "Clara's family is incredibly old money and traditional. If they find out Leo's twin brother is estranged, they'll think our family is dysfunctional and cancel the wedding. Just pretend we love each other for 1 weekend. Do this for your brother." I realized then that their favoritism hadn't stopped. In fact, my parents had taken out a massive, predatory second mortgage on their family home just to fund a lavish rehearsal dinner to impress Clara's billionaire father. They were drowning in debt, betting everything on Leo marrying into billions. I smiled on the phone. "Of course, Mom. I'll be there." But I wasn't going there to toast to his happiness. I was going to burn their entire world to the ground. First, I used my company's capital to quietly buy out the private lending firm that held my parents' predatory second mortgage. Through an anonymous LLC, I became the sole owner of their house debt. They were already 3 months behind on payments, clinging to the hope that Leo's new father-in-law would bail them after the wedding. Second, I hired a private investigator to look into Leo. I knew my brother. He was a narcissist who couldn't keep his hands to himself. Sure enough, the PI came back with gold. Leo wasn't just cheating on Clara. He was having a full-blown, year-long affair with Clara's maid of honor, who also happened to be Clara's first cousin. The PI got high-definition photos, videos, and iCloud backups of their explicit text messages, where Leo literally mocked Clara, calling her a brainless ATM. The night of the wedding reception arrived. It was held at a luxury estate, filled with high society elites, politicians, and billionaires. My parents were walking around like royalty, bragging about how they raised two successful boys, though they introduces me to everyone as the one who does tech support. I just smiled and waited. During the reception, my dad gave a speech. He actually cried, talking about what a pure, honest, and visionary soul Leo was, and how he always knew Leo would achieve greatness. The crowd cheered. Then, my mom took the mic. And now, we have a surprise childhood slideshow prepared by Leo's twin brother, OP. I stood up, walked to the podium, and plugged my laptop into the venue's massive IMAX-sized projector screen. "Thank you, Mom and Dad," I said into the microphone, my voice echoing through the ballroom. "You always told me that Leo deserved everything I had. You gave him my college fund, my dreams, and your unconditional love. So tonight, I want to give Leo the ultimate wedding gift: absolute transparency." I pressed play. Instead of baby photos, the screen lit up with a massive high-res screenshot of Leo's text messages to the maid of honor, dated from literally yesterday morning, describing what they were going to do to each other after the wedding. Then came the video file. It was a crystal clear clip of Leo and the cousin making out in the back of a car outside the bridal boutique. The ballroom went into a state of absolute paralyzed shock. The music stopped. Clara gasped, stared at the screen, and then looked at her cousin, who had gone completely pale. Clara's billionaire father stood up, his face turning a dangerous shade of purple. He didn't yell. He just looked at Leo and said, "You are done." Clara ripped her diamond ring off, threw it directly into Leo's face, cutting his cheek, and walked out of the venue, followed by all 300 of her family's guests. The wedding was canceled in a matter of seconds. The venue became a war zone. My mother fell to her knees, screaming at the top of her lungs, tearing at her hair. My dad lunged across the stage at me, his fists clenched, yelling, "You monster! You ruined your brother's life! You jealous, pathetic piece of trash!" Security intercepted him before he could touch me. I stood there, completely calm, as Leo sat on the floor, bleeding from his cheek, crying like a toddler. I walked down from the stage, stood over my parents, and pulled a thick manila envelope out of my suit jacket. I dropped it onto my mother's lap. "What is this?" my dad roared, held back by guards. "More lies?" "No, Dad. It's a legal reality," I replied, loud enough for the remaining staff to hear. "That LLC you've been begging for a mortgage extension from? That's me. I own your house. And since you used the last of your cash to buy a wedding cake that no one is going to eat, you've officially defaulted." My mother stopped crying and stared at me in pure horror. "That's a notice of immediate foreclosure," I whispered, leaning down. "You have exactly 30 days to pack up everything you own and get out of my house. You wanted Leo to have a luxury lifestyle? I hope his yacht has a guest room, because you're officially homeless." I turned around, adjusted my tie, and walked out of the venue into the crisp night air. I blocked every single one of their numbers, checked into a 5-star hotel penthouse, and poured myself a glass of 30-year-old scotch. They wanted me to be a ghost. Now, they're the ones haunting the streets. Was the revenge too harsh, or did they get what they deserved?
Has anything like this ever happened to you? Tell your story in the comments. If you want more daily Reddit stories just like this, make sure to follow and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what subreddit I should cover next in the comments. Stay tuned for the next story. Peace.